Perfect design. Armor up from within. The ferocity of all can exist from a single spark. In the existence, we are in the arena where anything can happen. We can cause the cure, the solution, and it's not just about telling a story. It's about producing a revolutionary. Trey Parker, I challenge you on the wizard's table. We exist through the arc of time. Our maneuver with the Y chromosome is slightly different. Don't let your orientation with the sense of time on Earth be confused or distorted, not even by myself. I wish to bring you clarity. We speak the same language and we have the same urgency for life on Earth. It belongs to us. We are the kings of the world. For the full expression, perfect design, perfect design, perfect design, perfect design. You have to strap yourself into this body, like you come along, striking into your rib cage. I'm here to keep living. Buckle yourself in. Welcome to another episode of My Body Feels Alright and I'm Healthy. Oh shit, it's my favorite show. Another day where I get to do. Oh, I'm the Earth King. You guys, welcome to the show. This is awesome. Perfect circle. Everyone is being respected here. This is a meditation center. So you use our unicorn horn and put on your modifications. Armor up from within. There's a maelstrom in your mind. Imagine your own amphitheater. Like, see it with your inner eye. I think we need to do more of that. Inner light visualizations and how, like a dream, they fade. But there is a energy battle going on in this department, and there's an area blind spot of the human condition language curve, which is also like this petri dish. So I want to give you the last piece of the clue to understand why the language is written in tongues. In artist life, in the anatomy basics, just approaching the vocabulary that defends the earth. There needs to be a certain bracketing, which allows a differential of like, does it mean this or that? As in, like, you get into the department of, are the people saying that they're aligning with Armageddon or that they want Earth to continue with their resident identity? So, so the language of the rock and the fixation of people who live here and experience the continued years. We are the resident glow and the true love of the earth. The Y. Oh, so don't let, so armor up your Y chromosome because the junk DNA is interfering with even that sense of like, oh, the timing, what is magical, what can happen here, all these sorts of things. But what's wonderful about Hatch is he's a haggard warrior, seasoned, you know, battle in many apocalypses. And what I'm saying is like, it's possible, you guys. We can actually build this thing and topple the entire universal infection with a type of spark invention. And but there's some physicality here where we need to produce Hatch, and it's an incredible production where we get into this magical house and we're exploring these alternate worlds where we truly see the magnum opus of the identity of Hatch. Put it on the screen, let it happen, and the seasons, and then Hatch falls in love. That's another season, and then Earth is talking lucidly, and then there was like on TV, there was this giant angel just like hovering over New York City, and people are like, what? And then, like this, I'm talking about like, let's make our Earth magical again, Merry Christmas, I understand the strange languages, and it's perfect. I'm not saying that humans are dwarf. I'm saying like, okay, let's like be double-minded about the thing because you need to know the human condition, but then you also need to step out of that and become the transvoyance of your entire kabuki, the theater, of your technology, things that truly circle back to you as the origin point of your creative expression, sharpen your blade, tighten the strings of your lifetime, hear from your future self, compass guiding, Y chromosome update, all the way to the epidermis. So essentially, if you can make these types of specific things, like a definition in waterborne spellcasting would be sufficient. And the layering of every day, your soul enlightened, and this causes, the arrival of Hatch means that garden people are now able to transcend their technologies into a permanent form, which is actually the greater arm that would service as the defense against Earth, etc., and the right conduct. Because when life in the garden and reason and Zen is inspired or it's for the garden resident person. There's like an electromagnetic plume that comes around our body and it's around the planet. So when the creation model is operating correctly on the pivot of the individual in the way that is the correct value gain, and it can be specified because it's huge. It's like medical. It's like, oh, is this thing alive or not? Well, this thing's alive, you guys. Let's say, oh yeah, this thing's lit. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that you're excited to change the world. We're talking about societal overhaul. Oh yeah, sorry. There's like I was talking like there's some grim spectrums coming out. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't really want to bring the meditation so austere, but there are dark layers of our meditation together. But it might be better suited to put those in the department of things we want to talk about in in the middle of the night and when we do some incredible work. Um, I give multiple descriptions of honor, and my characters each have a particular a different way of explaining the optimism, because optimism is not autistic. It's not like, hey guys, it's gonna be okay, and that's what made it okay. Was like, no, I need to have like a think tank environment. We need combat and things that are energetic, things that make sense. So, turning the disaster into a gameplay, the Breathe Mask XR. I'm here to present on this life-saving device as Delta is rising in the petri dish areas like India and stuff. They're like, oh wait, no, it's like Istanbul. Um, but it's like, oh, but that's not going to be American. Well, it's going to be like it's going to hit us like in a year from now, we're going to be like, oh, it turns out that like you just for a little while there's plague that is mutating and getting worse. That's what the Grand Musketeer was talking about. The true name of COVID is, and why martyrdom causes the turning point for them, but that's a comatose sign. The living sign would be Trey Parker producing Hatch and doing this thing expediently, not waiting for July, the big confusion, and the big confession. You gotta be the lone wolf, Trey, and you need to make your own decision now. Be the king of the world, change it, produce Hatch. Demand it. Make it happen today. Boom. In your body, you need to be like, build up your spirit. Don't be decompressed by, oh, that's just the human condition. Hey, and I'm not mocking your orientation. I'm challenging it. I'm saying, like, let's, exercise those things, right? Because, as a wizard, we do delve into the poisons of, you know, various mind orders that are completely abandoning or like real things. And that's good about the human because we have that poetry. But it's not merely poetry, okay? It's depth. And that's super important because then you have some wisdom and you know why to be generous or why you're glad that things worked out for other people. You have this sort of this entropy, like you're like, oh, I like to see those images where people are where things get better. Oh, hey, they lived happily ever after. That's what I want. That's what Hatch brings. That's a seed of perfect design, right? And it's done perfectly, you know. Also, my Pokey Little Puppy cartoons, perfect design, you guys. This is really important. It's going to be completely revolutionary. beautiful, focusing on the art. And, editing it down so it's beautiful, concise, and we also get this fantasy that she comes along and has an orgasm like within like 5 minutes or whatever. Oh, that would be lovely. you know, well, there's a story, there's a fairy tale. Yeah. So this type of pageantry from the female side. Well, these will be edited into a beautiful vignette. So and it cascades like this. But while I'm making love to my perfect, and this is sort of the thing it's going to be organic. I guess I'm just thinking about one. I'm just thinking like one other female motion capture. Like well, I that's where I'd probably begin, right? And well, I'll see what I can leverage. I can't we really have to read the room. So when I get to the point where I'm like, oh, people really like my show, should I now just, oh, it's this expectation? Like I have to do all that when I'm in that space, and that's when it will make sense to people, is because that's the guy. Oh, here's my next step. Oh yeah, okay, you went from there to there, right? Okay, we understand. So for some vast projections, but uh, it's I'm not strictly relying on eroticism. I mean, the eroticism is actually the way for me to speak evenly to people because they're alive and they're also my battle bruisers. I'm like, oh guys, so the world's on fire and there's a plague out there. Okay, so the the example of the plague getting worse and mutating. Oh, we didn't know it's going to mutate and get worse. It's the same thing with the submits to you through this sort of thing. This is your life. This is your ghost reason. Like we're patching your junk DNA. This is your destiny for you to get like soul smoushed. And this is actually a larger confession of space fever. It's a category space fever of reincarnation cycles that where there's cabin fever, literally, or like haunted metals affecting a living crew, space living in outer space without the relief of clockwork. The solar system does more than it appears. Okay, so the Venus provides a type of like relief as it's going around, and we're conservative people because of the haggarding of the arm of Cape Cod, and because our Venus was murdered. In the rest of the universe, it's not common to have triple planetary alignment like that. That's perfect symmetry. So that's what the Earth is, and the Earth is like the Earth is the chosen planet, apex planet of the universe. Hard to gain that perspective if you're without like zipping around through the universe. So hey, welcome to Mass Source Industries. Perfect design, armor up from within. Identity is the theme of the universe. That's why the universe is here. It's because of who we are and these sort of invisible fabrics. So to learn to defend that, and the humans are going to get really into it. They're like, oh, it's like kung fu, and then and you can grow in powers and stuff. Absolutely. All right. I'll try to explain the darkness of the COVID-19. Like the language is so bad because a zombie expression was going along with a corporate thing that actually ultimately mutates a couple times and then is actually only an Armageddon code to allow invasion. And the sunlight and the earth is like, this is the human problem. Humanity right now is trans. They're transformers, all right? 2021. And I'm saying like, I'm not like, oh guys, look outside. Um, I mean, zombies, like it's getting hot, and like 2020 was like, oh, that was a meditation, a quarantine where people like life altered, like literally the so society's shifted because the visuals has changed for everyone, so the mind has changed. We need to optimize that, and I think people have this wrong idea about let's just play the music like we used to, like the same as before, comfort music, and but it's like getting hotter, and it's like, whoa, this is before the flood. So this is the time to produce a revolutionary hatch pan. So my company is going to grow rapidly, but it's also going to be like there might be I might be more interested in raising revolutionaries and having like an army of people, sort of like a Fight Club, but real. Sort of like there's going to be some reality going on there that's going to be amazing. I know that the dynamic between man and wife is perfect. It's the perfect metaphor to talk with people. So if I can manage to fall in love, that's probably going to be the optimal way. And I'll arrange my company around a sort of family unit, and then we get a lot more done that way, you know. I mean, is it too playful? You have to do like a little freaking Lucky Charms dance on on the tombstone of Romance 2021, or we have to be these robots go like, oh yeah, no, optimize that, you know. But let's optimize the day. Armor up. Increase your years on this earth. Wind up your heart pocket watch. Good. You know, it's interesting if you make the adaptation for your Y chromosome, that's like this tiny vignette that goes, and when on the ectodermal, how your antlers look in the spirit realm is a magnum opus of your internal energy, the flux capacitor. So the truth about the origin of shapes has been crunched and wasted and like seemingly digested and oh it's repurposed. It's a common sense at this point. No, it isn't. Hatch is like, Here's the evidence, you know, let's work on it, let's chang chang pf changs." All right, like yeah. So I'm building the Y chromosome immunity to all Asian cuisines. All right. Armor up from within, make a definition of yourself. You'll find clarity and self respect, and then the true ability to speak Asian languages. Once you've anchored yourself, you know, and you're not continuously feeding from the smorgasbord of spiritual delights. We know that dragon there. All right. Oh, speaking of dragons, you know, in my laboratory, there's sort of this legendary other laboratory where the ancient dragon sleeps. And what the story is that Hatch built, okay, so above, like the entire area above the Leverett Echo Lake, there's an underground laboratory where a huge dragon is sleeping. And this was the original Hatchpan, and it's like a story before the first story. It's like legend, but the story begins with the family is sort of operational. The boys are there, and what happened is that you know Hatch built this underground laboratory arcing over the bridge of the perfect circle, perfect design. Identity is the solution. I exist in this form, this image. I uphold its standards and intensity, the passion of life, as my coat of arms. It is my communication bear. My true love for humanity is real. All right, you guys, let's build something great and change the world. Visuals and all of this. It's a huge company. I'll have a huge department where it's just working on that issue and it becomes a wonderful thing. Oh, you guys. Oh, okay. So as the story goes, like you know, Hatch was building this huge sort of. I didn't mean for it to become this huge dragon. Actually, it was all these different experiments that like uh, Seminole became self-aware and like awoke and then took over the space and like I had to leave. I got kicked out because the meditation had become like symbiotic like because I was building it myself. I was the lone wolf. But you know the story actually begins in the little Everett house where, where you know I reinvent my entire scientific theorem and that's the type of character we encounter as Hatchpan at work building the Breather Mask XR. So the Breather Mask XR is the first product that I'm talking about. It's probably you know the first scene is you know I'm working on the Breather Mask and some of the kids are walking around in the background and interacting. And the camera's moving around and there's you know because I performed multiple times with altered levels and so it's just gonna be like a lot of fun, you guys. Amazing, you know. But that's what we want to do is that we give them joy, we give this experience, everyone learns that they get, and I get to keep my wizard upgrades, yes. Well, here we go, that's enlightenment. And this is an adult thing where I'm on your side about your soul. You're gonna have the best life possible. Hey, let's work on it together. Come on, guys. Oh, look, there's some naked chicks. Yeah, yeah, okay. Like, I'll understand that when I get there. I gotta cross that bridge when I get there. It's absolutely perfect, you guys, for us to do this. It's a very enlightened idea, similar to Randolph Fan Williams, was just completely genius, very advanced conceptually. And that's the sort of before the flood warrior that I am. It's sort of self-evident that I didn't cause the pandemic myself, but that this was actually a curvature of the literacy electromagnetic rock. This is like, oh, history bonk is shifted here, and then we have to go on this language curve because even the language is so stepped in it. The problem is that there were several different type of ghosts submitted that are supposed to be the bare patchment to our supposed brokenness, to fix what's wrong with Earth and humans, because there's nothing wrong with us, so we have to behave that. So it has to sort of the revolution of that, an identity curl, transcendent, and confirming that each of you get to keep your soul. And but that's not what that's not what and also the science isn't up to date. They think the sun explodes to nothing, and they don't understand the edge of where dimensional things oh, it would be appropriate to have a ghost after you perish, but once you live, you're sort of transient, and it's sort of your ghost is sort of locked into your body, so it feels this way. But you're right; it's like, oh, we got to build this soul really quick, because I didn't know that build those muscles that can actually change the future a little bit, and that's actually the story of how I met the devil, is because I never tried to become the devil in my life. It was this alternate thing that I did. I performed, and then a spring trap opened up, and then this other world became possible. And uh, that's a story for another day. That's a story when people will be like cutting off one of their fingers because of the story of of the. Oh, it's a wonderful story about how that all happened. But the Earth True was like, like talking to me all about how the universe was on our back, and I was like, yeah, I can feel it. I feel it. And then the deadlights rose, and I was like, oh, and the rainbow splits, and I was like, well, okay, this is happening. So here on Earth, as we, the gentlemen, we need to actually be having a party though, and be like, it's not about like living a lie. It's about like doing the smartest thing possible. So producing Hatch is, and yeah, he's gonna have a good time, but that means then we'll have the solution. He's gonna flip the whole thing and just parties and all these good things. Hey, I got a slideshow, so let's look at those images. The Grim Spectre. Oh, just to complete the Grim Spectre. Like I start this meditation, and I'd like to actually just talk about the magical house and what do we? Okay, what's the next step? And I suddenly was just like, because well, I think we're all upset about the pandemic. I'm here to present the Breathe Mask XR, right? It's like, what is this language that what? There's no goodness in the pandemic. I know. I didn't say that there was, and it's we're fighting against a doomsday clock, which is a presumption against junk DNA. If you would allow me, we are a species in trans. Like we can actually change it to make junk DNA into a pure genius. Like, oh yeah, part of my body has barcodes on it. Like I'm part of the like I'm surviving from the Borg. Like coming out. Yeah. But we reinvent ourselves. We have to maintain our society. And it's a cultural thing. Yeah. So you guys keep doing that. I'm not saying stop your culture, and I'm not. It's hard to explain. Okay. um. I feel that Earth with the Where map was instructing me to be entirely magical and to continue in this vein where people matter, and that we're building this company with people and communication, not just like somehow he got the money and the money. I want it to be built with relationship friendships. So thank you so much for that, Trey. Or the only so in the very dark way, why is this a an like a why okay, well, society needed to be jogged. 'Cause it's like like, uh, and in that stammer, everyone's visuals change. So it's sort of like historical bump in the river, and it causes like a memory strip when we were all in quarantine. Um, history is made by the survivors. So I'm not saying that the people dying is good. It's really weird. But it's sort of a martyrdom for this one reason. And that's why, like, instead of me, I'm sorry this lesson's difficult, right? But we're on this rock in outer space and we're like, oh, it's the garden of life. Let's go. Okay, we have to protect the children. And I'm on with that. And I'm talking in that chi level. And people are like, you're crazy. And I'm like, you're self destructive to immunity and survivals. They're like, you're unreasonable. You have some sort of disorder. You make me feel funny. Welcome to being human. Humans is all like, it's all freaking weird being a human. All right. Especially during, all right. So after the deadlights rose, the kids are a different caliber. We need to raise the children. What is he talking about? So you guys get triggered. And you need to get like, boom, production, money now, boom, buy here that 55 putney before it becomes July. Trey starts mock larring and confessing that he had been his bad friends, or that he had some speech impediment. He has something. The reason why I'm not getting on in this is because July. It's fucking Juniper 30, Juniper 30, bitch. Fucking produce Hatch. I'm looking for more evidence. And you've seen it in the whisper and the coo of the society. Oh, that must be some mock law. What the fuck is wrong with you? They've already given their consent. They're gonna pay for this shit. They remember Hatch like this, and she's like, I can interpret the signs of people speaking. Well, you can't. You fell in 2019. Oh, I'm supposed to grow. It's a pity. Wear map, magical map. Taking up all of the devil's time. Cutting down, it's like, wouldn't allow me to introduce myself to them with the free election, so they won't have the vote anymore. It's like, where can I meet you, humanity? It keeps getting there. Now it's 2021. Of unborn potential physics is what I'm pertaining to. Like, oh, if this had been produced then, this is, because of the historical curvature. This is how history survives the Armageddon that wishes to kill all these children because they have some sort of identity crisis slash personal problem that prevents them from protecting children. Breathe Mask XR, give them a hero, make money. Oh, make lots of money. We're supposed to want that. Yes. So that's as far as it needs to go. Green light. But anyway, right? Why is the pandemic going to save us from alien invasion? Well, intelligently understand this. The correct here's the punchline. So the correct like when you're living and you have your soul in your body, the correct amount of sharing a ghost with someone else is a garden. And how's that happen? Through breath. So when you're breathing, you actually, oh, the aroma, the atmosphere. When you're breathing in the aroma of the world, the air, and when you're breathing air, you're soul sharing with the earth. And that's the appropriate valve. You understand? Because the air from the trees and the trees reach into the universe without eyes or a brain or anything like that to mess it up. So the trees are literally like a root that goes right out of the planet and it reaches without in a concept of space and it can sense the energy in the universe and that's what causes the knot formings and it's like a nightmare that the tree has. It's like, oh, there's like some energy tangles over there in the quadrant of the universe over there. The Earth is like, yeah, I remember that. But it's sort of recorded in the knot spiral as it sort of forms over years. So it's amazing because you can then plane these knots open and then treat it with a special formula, and it appears to be a hologram. There's actually a hologram written into the wood burrow, and that's actually like a magical thing, similar to um, well, there's like these hidden things in our environment that contain actual magical powers, but are sort of overlooked. Like the rocks with a complete gas pocket inside and their value and application of them. This is um oh all right. Oh, so breathing is actually the correct metaphor of spiritual relationship exchange. Like, oh, here's some ghost there. So the whole problem is we've been shot at by several layers of Scientology equations where they're trying to supplant our soul as like, oh, we're being scientific about the universe, but it's actually prevented the rise of all like generations of poets have been assassinated by deadhead, which is like a karmic undertow, which is like I'm so toxified that I want to be a consumer. Like they're like an example, but they don't mean to be, and I'm the breakaway where I give them the revolution. So Hatch is this inspirational character that brings it back, you see, because I'm the diadem of Earth. Earth is saying, right, if Hatch can master English and turn this thing, then the sunlight will bring the entropy of our survival into full focus, and poof, that's the rebranding of society. I'm not saying so Hatch is the sort of correct response to 2020. And people are trying to get out of this thing, and then the Delta thing is there. So what's surprising there is, oh, it actually transforms and gets worse later. So that's the problem with the submitted Scientology ghost spirits is they seem to be helpful. Oh, I feel like I'm in love, or it's informing my things. Um, But if we evolve and communicate properly, then we can make the silver lining of junk DNA and become our own transient form, which is an expression that sort of adapted and survived as the true expression of Earth that was haggard. Earth was devastated in the Venus and Mars attack and was misunderstood, and they continue with remote hacking as a spiritual confession that they have a wrong set mind completely. Okay, so we need to transcend a bloody handed murderer with a preconceived murder plot against our future children, babies. Batman, society, Hatch is the one, produce him, make money. Yes, that is the sun and the earth, yes. Okay, so the reason why, so on one hand, the COVID-19 mutates, so that's why that's the Scientology thing is dangerous because it's actually just a method to like devour the and basically erase the quote unquote residency identity bubble that we had through the 90s and stuff. It's really, but it's like an alternate. That's why, like, we're in a time tunnel where, like, if we produce Hatch with power and gusto and, like, do your side of it, like, sensational, we're producing Hatch, yeah, yeah, do it. And yeah, absolutely. And let Hatch be the artist for once. Oh, dream come true. Yes, we'll just let him be the artist down here, you know. And how long is that gonna last? Oh, dang it, Pokey little puppy cartoons. Okay, it's probably got the budget roll. And here it is, boom, Pokey. Oh, there's the hey, that's my boy. Making a living, right? But that's where we're at, people. People, the economy. And they're like, "You gonna talk to me for real? Oh, wow, this is really beautiful art. I love that. That's so cool." And I watched it with my girlfriend, and we were both like, "Oh, because I'm gonna be doing this magic, where it's like, and all these lights and stuff happen. All my custom magic happens, and the perfect design, perfect orgasm, and you can see her wings and her telepathy is growing as she has this huge orgasm. It's like music, and we build this art audio amphitheater around her orgasm, and it's just like this music that happens. And my thing is like, I think I just let her make the music, because so I just sort of listen, right? It is the parable of being a man, a stallion, on his own. I'm the lone wolf. Produce hatch is a lot of money, guys, because it's basically good for everyone. And, yeah. This is the correct conjecture for me. I think if I had begun politically, I don't know, maybe I would start to hate myself later. If I do this super like intense natural thing, I don't think I'll ever regret it because perfect design. Right. So much to say. It's complicated. Just get an X and Y vertex on it and like calculate the cure to your Y chromosome while we're talking. All right, so this is part of the meditation, and it's actually very gender confirming because there's superpowers that are laden and targeted. by predictable spawn location targeting, which prevents the soul development. So it prevents poets, prevents people from like having orientation. But then they're because that's happening to everyone. It becomes an expression where they're like, "Get along, gang. Hey, hey." And they've got this curve and accent. I'm not saying like, oh, I hate them. I'm like, no, these are like my best people. I love humans. It's awesome because we're like the fighting Schmau, we of identity that says like, whoa, that's not, we survive that shit and we transcend it, and we're like that. You guys, abuse does not cause the universe, so we need to be like loving, like it's like yeah, there's all this like love that has to happen, but also being loving means preventing a murderer from hurting an innocent. No, don't hurt the child. Don't do that. Well, you bigot, why don't you? Why do you have an opinion? Oh, because it's okay, listen, that's you don't fall off a cliff. Yes, and in the enlightened form, while you're embodied, it's actually total freedom and liberation. There's nothing restricting about embodiment. There's an image of the universe in our spine. We have to be responsible for that and enlighten that image through a huge movie meditation. I got a bunch of ideas where I'm going to turn it into a movie with a little bit of softcore. Oh, hey guys, introducing Service Pup. So, Service Pup is actually this character brand that delivers food, and the wolf is going to be the one. Oh, so the whole thing I'm talking about producing a show you know, for, basically, there's these spawn locations that are impossible for Earth and spirits to go to, and they're sort of like it's nature versus nurture. So I supplied nurture to New York City and grafted some natural adaptions, which is part of my curvature in the narrative. Like I'm trying to lead the soul train here, so we understand that we are defeating the problems of Earth by producing hatch, and that the metaphor of the so you know so from like one fist of crystals of a dimension where we have a security, it's like this is the communication pup where we're dreaming. Everyone's dreaming while they're watching this media, and they're sort of fascinating on their own thing in a split moment. So this is these gray areas, but you can see uh, Service Pup is riddled with bullet holes and grrrs, like there's like open fire, but that's where a child's soul is supposed to develop, right? So not only can we make an adaptation that we have a sort of resident curl where we have our own spawn locations, which is the curvature to get around the energy problem. Um, it's it's but like a lot of stuff. Anyway, it's sort of this energy battle. So armor up your Y chromosome so that your Kabuki and all your soul characters have the adaptation too, because we're the revolutionaries. We're fighting back, you guys. Produce as champion, and I'm gonna open up like a champion school, hero school, hen code, good deeds arcade, all virtual levels, but then it's gonna matriculate, guys. I'm gonna find people who are just like, thing, perfect recognition. Like these, they understand all of this stuff, and they're making this stuff, and they want to do this, and I'm like, well, we just expanded, and I have 5 extra studios, and I'm looking for, and then oh, well, yeah, we'll have like a party, and like, yeah, and oh, we just got some more studios open, and so that's social building. Like I think that that's really what's going to happen with my company as it expands, is sort of a family tree that just sort of happens. So, like, while I'm giving a very a specific orientation when I'm talking about the stallion anchorage that is actually really confirming for everyone, is just sort of basic code. Like, this guy has relationships. So, here's master source, and my good friend who is in just graduated from animation school with a degree in animation. This is one of the many people on my list of people that I would hire and give employment to so that they can make cartoons and stuff, of course, for Master Source Industries. And I adapted from the suit that I built here into the avatar here, and so there's a lot of technology where I was first handmade the suit, and then all of that idea I converted it while I was meditating, making this model in 3D CGI with from scratch, right? So I built it from nothing inside of virtual reality, and it was really. But what's interesting about this is that I continue to. Oh, that's my secret. Like most people change their avatars, and I noticed like when they're, I'm like I was really into you before when you had that avatar, but when they change their avatar, it's almost like you're starting with a new foundation of source code or something. Like it's a different like prism. And so one of my genius curls was like, I just need to continue with this one avatar, even though his is like he has one of like his peculiarities, but that's what really makes it like a kabuki mask. Because when I pose the face, in different directions, you can actually see different expressions because there's some wild. It's very alive. It's a very living, and this was designed to be a stud for all virtual reality. There's a lot of hot, CGI ladies out there. He is a stallion for that, and he's wearing all my DuPont. All right, you guys. So Master Source Industries also, I've oh a long time I've had this fascination of dressing up with the big ears, um, and I was it's it's my own curl of doing that stuff, and it's hard for me to explain, but I have my own chi. Like I'm not based from. Okay, all right, you guys. So I'm here to talk about the ideal breather. Here's my starting location, the house 55 Putney. We scoop that up and we turn it into a magical house where it's a story about this family who are building their own company startup brand. As the story goes, there's an ancient underground, there's a curling dragon here. Underground, and it represents Master Source Industries. He's the Dragon King, my beloved son. And we're going to, I mean, when I take over this area for my company, it's not only is it totally beautiful and picturesque, I mean, it's my home base, and I do want to have other locations branching out um, in London and Tokyo when I get to the point where I'm developing robots, and I want to actually interface with the public and say, what do you guys think should be in the robot's brain? And we're gonna actually like design it on like a very. We're gonna be like, we'll use some nanobots here. We'll use real gold here because we want. There's some energy that's different there. Okay, so we're pinching. Like this whole thing, but to combine like a London and this would be like an age bracket, people in their 20s and people are interested in robotics. Oh my gosh! And that'll become a part of a TV show that I'm doing through my streaming service. So then we'll have product line robots that are built by Japanese, uh, more like wild people. I'm not like talking like, oh, let's get some like scientists. I want to find like the coolest people, like like the coolest guys who like rock the downtown, and they're like, we know everything, and I'm like, oh yeah, take a seat. Like it's hard to explain, but I have to find these London vampires and I have to find these Tokyo vampires, bring them together in an axum to develop the artificial intelligence of Earth and humanity. Because the prototype of an advanced human civilization exists in the Japan island and in the London island. Um, Right. Because of, I'm trying to leapfrog a problem of the speech impediment of a slow and sluggish humanity because of an underdeveloped societal grid, because of the constraints of a type of economics that don't actually befit uh, the way to make it like a thriving utopia. It's more like, oh, you have to work for money. It would be a lot more intelligent to give automatic uh, income to the poor because then they would be the economy. They'd be the stimulus that helps the industry to know where supply and demand is. Like people really like this type of yum yum cherry schmau. It's also an alternate fuel type. Foosh. Like this thing. People really love this invention, but we can't do that because we don't have an economy where the poor people are being financed. That's all that's needed there. And it's just basic parenting or allowance and basic common sense in engineering. Otherwise, people are enslaved by their So that's which is, we really need to transcend that. Like, oh, you have to work for money. But if like, um, oh, reality strains and whistles. Here we go. So we're on the accelerated learning curve, you guys. I was trying to explain, like, the people who are dying to COVID-19 is like a martyrdom because of how dumb, incommunicative, and self-betrayal-ish. It's whatever, you know. It's the human stink, and Trey Parker, a crying child, just going "Wah, wah," in 2019. But I'm challenging you, Trey, to be a leader and produce Hatch immediately. You don't need to wait longer. The power of money is wasted on your accent of delay. The expediency of the money, that's the provision of production. You need to become sure. So you're not, because you've seen enough evidence to know it's there. You need to draw the conclusion because you are the conclusion. Fully vaccinated people are getting sick. This is what I was concerned about, but I didn't want to like cast doom on it. I was like, I hope everything's going to be okay. But in the small petri dish areas like Israel, then we're seeing a troubling sign, which indicates that one of the inventions. So in this sort of haunted house, it's an app, you can point on it, and the COVID-19 is interfering with the breathing, because what happened to humanity is their soulish development in the 90s was interfered with. So we have a rotten flesh zombie disorder detached from the actual identity of children born after the deadlights rose from Earth. And they're the true calibers of angels who could walk on starlight and save the universe. But you guys won't even produce Hatch the Gatekeeper on Met because your chi is aligned with Armageddon. You're not even looking for money. It's disgusting. We can't sell him. I mean, it lacks imagination. It's like a comatose. If you guys think that Hatch, this big dick pony, you can't sell that, what kind of fucking producers are you? I'm talking about battling against the anxiety of 2021. And you guys are like, this guy makes us anxious. You guys are like, you know, I'm here to like give you money and souls. We can save lives with the Breathe the Mask XR. And this just happened like yesterday. So have you done your gentleman's best? And Trey, you are my greatest hope and my greatest ally in this world. That's the truth. So I do not hate you. Do not despair. You are the champion. I said to Trey, hey, Trey, you want to kill this Doom Nagas? We're going to kill it. And Trey said, yeah, I'll make electric cars with you. Yeah, let's go. Their brand. Let's make some fucking, let's make some breather masks up there in it. Let's make some show. That's what Trey said. He said it on Twitter this morning, so I'm very proud of him. And he's like my best friend, right? So, it's, Hatch is trying in his way to explain enlightenment, even though we're in the dank to dismal, where one of the best inventions Hatch has to offer is a breather mask. This is like we're in like some sort of that's not good. If you're really smart, if you could believe that Hatch is like a clockwork man, and that he has appointed curvatures to bring human out of like a dull strum. Like people are just bored. Like I'm seeing like people committing suicide, and so like I think they're missing their friend, and they really get turned on by Hatch Pan Heliosphere. He's like a sexual dragon, and he's gonna turn everyone on all the way from Japan to London. So I'm transcending the dispersed idiocy of America fraught by the electoral college. I'm saying the urgency, the princess urgency, she's just bored. And when I explain the opportunity, like you could become the vampire bride. The vampire king is looking for a wife, and for her, it's like, oh my gosh, my life is beginning now. You need to respect that cherry because you guys listen to me. That's the urgency. You guys are like, what? Maybe we should wait longer. You're just suffering people. who are aligned for a greater good. Okay, so I'm talking about building AI that is greater than all UFO combined. You guys are sitting there, I'm just teasing. You guys are great. You guys are great. All right, but this is a lot of work. So Hatch with his robotics and with these ladies, they're going to be working their asses together, stitching it together. You guys, beat for beat, perfect, eternal. Um, we do have to transcend the humbug, and we have to be magical. So you guys producing Hatch is completely awesome, magical shit. All right, here. So this is our. All right, I'm gonna have. I have to because this doesn't have enough pixels in it. Like, I need to have professionals restore this image, and then work on it, and then maybe like change the writing or do something like artistic with it. But this is gonna be like a poster um for some character signature of mine. This is a Breathe Mask XR. Trying to bring this back, you guys. Hey, get excited because all these ladies I'll be working with, it's like the perfect flan. But it really is, for her pleasure. I mean, like, I'm grossed out by porn where they had wrong ideas about like violation, and that's sort of like adult experimentation, like. But I'm basically saying like, what about talking while making love? And but they, and I'm just like, well, but I have a huge personality, and I want to find someone that I want, and she's gonna be amazing with her little out of body. She says, "Woo, you fuckers, you wait or." Delay in the schedule, and all of a sudden it's like some different bitch. She's like, "Bing, I'm here." All right, it's the hidden crown of woman's destiny. She's like the arcing beagle of the ghost and flan laden with a cherry on top, lit it on fire. The self-control, the earth dynamic. Right, you guys. So the hidden crown is a bare naked lady. The men are navigating this, and they got like broken shit. So the women complain, and they start misbehaving because the men complex they're inflecting. They're like, hey, I've got junk DNA disorder, but the men is like, whoa, they're like on the wrong side of it. Holy shit! Which is why we had like this Armageddon preventing thing, but it's like catatonic. So people have to talk about the expression of spiritual asphyxiation in terms of a plague because they're making what's invisible and the invisible threat, they're making it visible by a dramatic, oh, it's the pandemic, it's the plague. Well, here's a bump in the history. And so if you intelligently prescribe it because of its physics as an orientation, a word, a linguistics. Anyway, the Breathe Mask XR is a fashion statement as well for 2021. We'll be working on it beta. Produce Hatch immediately. This is outrageous. He has a life-saving instrument. How dare you keep this away from schools? People have a right to have this instrument, America. Why aren't you producing the right solutions? This thing is mutating beyond the vaccine. You have to make this Breathe Mask. Save lives now. Produce Hatch with urgency. That's your power because you have finances. Your power is to make it happen right away. Earth spoke. Boom, boom, boom. Trey Parker come to life as the producer and urgently cause the transformation of our Norn. Armor up, you guys. So wind up your heartstrings. Let's get healthy. All my kabukis or whatever. I'll never threaten your lifetime. I want you to be healthy. Keep on living. So I'm an enemy to sickness. I'm an enemy to triggers and confusion. That's why people get triggered and confused. They're like, "You're a big wolf." They tuck and run. They put their tail between their legs and they run off from me because I am the terrifying wolf that defends the earth from all problems on. So I'm looking for my familiar family tree. Who is like me? Who wants to defeat all evils? And in fact, Trey Parker won. The wear map on the perfect curvature, the landing, the perfect stage, the platform for this warrior. Putney Road. All right, the universe is vast, but vaster still is our importance here on Earth. The fact contains this parable where we're fighting for the definition template of the lifetime achievement. It becomes multiplied at the straight rainbow. Your achievements in lifetime become multiplied into a chi form that the entire universe, garden, epiphany, plethora can access and gain in the identity curvature of a sort of smorgasbord that of flavors and eccentricities that can only come from the holy planet Earth true. So I'm supposed to align these two functions of the actual identity of the Earth with the production society, and Trey Parker is the chosen one by the Ware Map. The destiny of Hatch was given a surprise party, and it was a sign of intelligence. The Ware Map, the way it was suggested to him by the Earth, was the parable that said, Hatch, don't only don't only go after the money to open your company. We need to sort out the identity transfixion, which is why you need to do this through Trey Parker, right? And that's what the WAM app said. And I'm sorry if for Trey, if I'm sorry if it's been distracting for you when I like talk to some other friend or something. Is was that wrong? Did I throw the wagon? Here we are. I'd really you should just produce me right away because that's your power. And so obviously, Hatch has not had this event, a big production. Oh wow, a breakthrough! I made $1 million. That's all new for him. So you guys, that's awesome because look at all the work he's done. Those are each representing of an idea that I had, and I'd meditate and walk in my studio and paint on the wall with my ideas there. So I'm a fully like the muscles, spiritual muscles. I'm an achievement hunter, and I don't do repeat shows. So there's only one Hero School Hen Code, and there's only one Escape Pod Telepathic Avenue, New York City. I don't do like the same thing, and everyone has their own thing. That would be against identity's profundity or application. It's just it'd be false. So there's achievements in the layers of my years. And so I'm calculating I'm not calculating, the reality is calculating the maturity of mankind through this Armageddon. And when Trey produces me, that's the epiphany and begins the human arc of a relationship with Hatchpan Heliosphere. So that's what we're talking about. It's awesome, you guys. It's going to be a different future, and we're going to bring it to life by parenting it. We produce Hatch, and it all comes to life, you guys. The Vampire King. Shroom. He's sort of the one in charge of the house. He's the royalty figure. Hatch is the uh, perfect precision genius analyst robot engineer, and I really am. And developing the energy of the wings. Like this impression in the on the side of it is we're representing our meditation here. This breathe mask saw curls back and saves your life. You'll have better luck now. Luck up, armor. Oh yeah, yeah. Luck suit on up because of us, and we know what we need today. We're moving to forward. These sorts of structures. I'll have to work on it, and then we'll. Oh, that's it. Boosh, get that clip, and then. So the Vampire King. Oh, I think I do know what his product is, but it's not, it's not what so, I've been actually working for a very long time. This is like 15 years ago when I was doing my public access show and armoring up literally for the encounter to become an image, to become an idol, and to communicate really raw, like amazing ideas and stuff. And it was very, I'm very muscular. Is my drawing of my cartooniness, my cartoonishness. It's like one of my oldest um, characters here, the wolf. They're sending you guys armor up from within. So all my characters are original. The wolf speaks with his telepathic unicorn horn, the clockwork man, and Master Source. I love Master Source so much. He's like, you guys, it's like I'm so before the flood. I have to be this weird, like green perception wizard. Oh, he's out there, but I am actually. But my technology isn't designed to make me spiral into madness. You understand? I'm strapped into surviving and perfecting the day. So we're all getting our ups today, guaranteed, because I'm a karmic achievement hunter. So this is like my personal notes that I sent Trey this morning, and it says, "Yeah, let's cut some cars together." So I really appreciate you guys putting up with Hatch's performance. He's just frustrated, and I think we all are. We're all just like, oh, um, so when I was reading this, I thought like this is amazing. Um, just everything about this is amazing. I thought, what would be really great is, in order for us to survive this plague, we need to develop the virtual reality, the VR breather mask. It needs to be the social parties where the beta levels when it comes out with an episode. So there's like an episode and then a forum where you can go in virtual reality, meet, talk with other people, and then Hatch comes up and you can see him. And some people are able to get up there and talk to him, and everyone sees it. Wow. And but it goes through like these layers, like so key event levels. So like almost like there's also like achievement. It's almost like a video game. So people are watching Hatch do his show, and there's some blank badges, or like we'll structure some things into it, so you get this reward feeling for carrying along. It's hard to explain, but it really makes sense to me. It's sort of like the perfect thing when you're right on top of it, and you're like, oh, I can feel it. This is the best. Uh, so that's the type of thinking I do. But I was just making a note here because this is like one of my private notes, and I just thought I'd share it, that this would be more interesting than like just a clipping of like uh, whatever from the pandemic. The Breathe Mask XR stabilizes the economy by protecting our workers, especially in cities when if the Delta wave hits them, they can put on Breathe Mask XR. We could have it available in a year if we produce Hatch immediately. But we have to be magical and understand. So we need this. We're getting this location, and then Vavavoom needs this stuff. Okay, go. And that's how we save lives, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Trey Parker. And then this other idea about you making like cartoony skulls. I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, I need a bigger head. I need my head to be like 3 times larger. My fucking brain, you know. Uh, so I was thinking about making some skulls that would suggest a type of or a ghost that was somehow projected beyond this form. But there's a lot of ways of alternate. Like we work on our Y chromosome that can actually cause a spring trap in your lifetime, and then you're sort of transcendent, and you fall in love. You're like, oh, I finished writing that book, and then everything came together. Wow. Um, we look for those things. Perfect bullseye. So like making like a collection of large skulls, but of the entire family, would have like a ghostal impression and be useful in our wizardry. Like having like you put your hand on your own skull, you're like this other world where I live, you know, and then you actually tell a great story, and you know, uh, and that's where then there's a curvature where that skull ghost actually existed because of the narrative. Like people shared that, they were laughing, and that skull's like, but it was real. Yeah, because we shared that your story. All right, so that's powerful. Also, like on like micro printing, making microchips in virtual reality on a subatomic level of the entire family. I've already done that through my virtual reality. But no, we're actually like printing on like micro like carbon printing, like tiny like tiny and just send it, right. So we just send out the family in like alternate forms or like in blown glass, like different patterns and styles of painting, and so we'll have like commissions and stuff, and some of those illustrations will inspire like an entire show, like, oh, everyone liked that, and then it makes its own show, people get animation jobs. It's gonna be great. But it has to be great. So Hatch is a revolutionary, but he's this and he does this work in his day. Studio lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, you guys. Hatch is totally unique. We produce him. Oh, it's really gonna help out. All right, he's this piece of the world. Uh, but yeah, just Millie family tree with the vampire. Yep. Oh, thank you guys so much. There's a production value for Hatch Pan. He's a powerhouse. He's a wizard, sorcerer, and I'm saying that you guys are the most valuable, precious commodity in the universe. I love you guys. Armor up from within. I'm working to ensure your health, and as long as we're healthy, we're gonna do the right thing. And everyone's doing their best all the time. I don't, say against that. And the reason Trey was chosen was because he's a well-rounded person. So that's why there's hope. And I'm not punishing Trey, but the reality of like an asphyxiated voice, something that didn't happen, like the shades of regret. All right, those are the languages we have here on Earth. Welcome to a toxic environment where the universe, the Earth is on fire. You know, so Uh, yeah, yeah. So did I tell you guys the story about when this image occurred? It's from Silent Hill. Such a good. I love that story. I want to really perfect it and sort of animate it. For me to talk because I think a lot of people would be like, I was playing a video game once for like hours, and then all of a sudden the game was like talking to me, and then I actually know what that is. Sometimes it actually was talking to you. And the entire focus of that video game anchored its gravity identity into a focal point to accelerate mankind. It's a basic Batman kind of maneuver. But the one level of the chi orchestration of all medias, like a video game, is conducted to have the greatest transcendent moment, and which means talking with a bunch of different people. So there's different moments in the animation when it's just like for some like someone just starts like laughing really hard because they're like that was so funny, but no one else thought it was funny. But that moment was actually built for that person in a split moment of true love. But just like what the character on the show is just kind of shooting a wink at someone that they saw, they're like, I see you, I see you, I see you. Like it's just like this intense moment where oh the sunlight and the earth are speaking, and we have an epiphany where the soul aligns and we understand the time and it's like deja vu, and we spring trap and perfect design, boom, 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 boom. Levels relief. Wizard achievement, armor upgrade, vroom, next level achieved, locked into place. Bonk. Good job, you guys. Thank you so much for being my friend. I need a urgent production here. I'm just gonna talk for 5 more minutes and then we're gonna wind up. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for being my friend about this. Like, I have to uphold some of the things such as that the Mandelbrot isn't caused by math. Okay, so the occurrence of our epiphany here is vital to the survival of existence in the universe. You have to keep trying. You have to keep caring. It's absolutely worth it. There's all these shadow dimensions that record your reward. You didn't think I wouldn't give you your Gringotts, your wizard treasure. Your wizard treasure's there. That when you're upset about the world, that's all going to get paid out as your good karma there. As we're tincturing our souls, we invest in ourselves and the quality of our Norn. We're all doing the best we can. I'm not disparaging that. But as far as comedy is involved and talking about changing society, the Earth has chosen in the Ware map Trey Parker. And the response is as such. And as so, if they exist, they've said it themselves. I keep it on the levels that it's actually going to work. This is real equipment, gentlemen. This is the real aperture here. And when I do my side of the job, then everything's going to be okay. So we're all going to be okay. But it's like the earth is like the pollution is so detached from my voice, and what's happening is like, and Earth was just like, no, you need to understand my needs because Venus and Mars were murdered, and I've suffered so much to bring you the gatekeeper now. Those indications are important, and Hatch is the only one who speaks that language. But even if you said it's a wonderful narrative, you could produce it and save the world. And you know how, technically. It's joyful, it's going to help. Yes, yes. Produce Hatch with bravery and confidence that you are doing the best thing. This is the best production in the world, you guys. Cutting edge, state of the art stuff. Hatch Master Source Industries becomes a robotics, engineering, robotics, and AI. Hey, part of the way I'm going to build a real friendship with people, after I do pokey little puppy cartoons, which are totally polite, it's not dirty, it's loving. It's so loving, and there's wonderful stories where, like, let's use the power of our dick. And everyone's like, yay! It's going to be great. So, this is the best way for me, like, when I go to London, oh, hey, it's Hatch, hey, buddy, yeah. And because, because of Pokey Puffy cartoons, this is where I want to meet with them. And it's my free choice. And I know that it's like, it's almost like it's perfect for me, all right? It's all right. Yeah. And it's making me really happy. So, and also when I go to my building in Tokyo, I'll have like this best friend status with everyone because of the Pokey Puppy little cartoons. I'm really looking forward to having like a translator. They've got the technology where you can speak, and then I'll have like a speaker on my chest or something that will say the Japanese that I'm saying, and then they can speak to me, and it translates it immediately to my ear, so I understand what they're saying to me. And that would be like a Breather Mask XR production value. Like I'm there promoting my product, the invention of the Breather Mask XR, and sort of the rise of 2022. And you know, in some forms of the idea, we're like, what if we began Hatch in Japan with this communication device? And he's like, I'm trying to work to produce this Breathe Mask XR. All right, well, that means it's made in Japan. I'm talking about making some. I'm talking about building something made in America, gentlemen. So it's a little bit more expensive than being a bad producer and waiting too long on something that's just relevant. The news now is a little bit different and hatches before the flood all the time. Oh, we have to acknowledge the intelligence of our American curl and produce it immediately. All right. Thank you, Trey Barker. So when it comes to it, you need to be a man, Trey, and produce this thing because you know it's right. This is American production, my first product. All right, so sorry, you know, the feelings are, there's a bunch of wolves in me. Like dimensions of howling winds and things in the universe. It's a haunted house. So, but look, my heart and my love. Like, I just want to tell you, what are people going to be seeing? So they can see it on their tablet, their phone, or the TV screen, and eventually becomes a streaming service, right? So I want that recognition of, and how do we, it has to be something that can become a streaming service. So that's how we sort of start it, and then it opens up like that when people are comfortable paying for a ticket or whatever. I think that's going to be wonderful because I also want to do it in virtual reality. So there's like a shopping arena, a huge, sprawling, and it's an image of my completed company, of course. But I'm sort of working on that and like I'll change around and stuff. But it has things you can like buy online. So the wolf is actually the baker. The wolf is the one that's going to be doing service pub, and he sends these delightful treats. Life and its many languages. We navigate these addictions as adults. The garden parable. It is sharpened for us and eye wielding, and that's what the inconvenient. This is like a negative 20 on all fields of the human interface because they're dealing with something like we don't want to go extinct. So then there's like zombies. Oh, environmental crisis. No, there's a curvature of swearing, burning oil. But it doesn't excuse the swearing. We need to apply the swears properly for the effectiveness of not dying, so the children survive. It's very basic things is what I'm balancing on that, and the sort of zombies of Los Angeles going and scrape at me, and I go like this, and then the world changes because they're a transport of Armageddon, the chronic abuse, and the disconnect from Earth and identity and survival. So that's reality, but only I represent it. So you guys want to call me mad? But those are scarecrows. You want to call me schizophrenic because I want to get a lot of work done? That's what your hands are for. And you want to call me this, or he's nervous, he's obsessive compulsive. A bunch of stupid words that don't mean anything. And these are literally my scarecrows. You're like spotting things like we should produce him. He's like a genius. He's a genius. He's like Mickey Mouse. You know, eh, from previous forms of my thing because the Earth is recording something beyond binary on the flat dimension on Cape Cod. This is Earth's production value to the entire universe. So the strychnine of humanity is being corrected in the spine. Right? Hatch empowers people by this meditation. We awaken the spine and have magical sex. That's how we transcend. When people are committed to changing the world, that's when the revolution of Hatch. I just know how to talk to people. And we'll get to that with the adult puppies. All right? Please, Trey, you have to have the intelligence to produce Hatch passionately, urgently. That's your enlightenment, literally, to change your mind. And it's a work of humility because Hatch has really bothered you and all that. But that's also why it's meaningful. Thank you, Trey Parker. Let's get going green light and get the house acquisition, get the technology in there. It's like the best thing ever. Yeah, some rough housing. We're going to produce this thing. He's going to open a studio, prolific production line. Yes. All right, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time. Sorry, this was I'm the lone wolf. I think I guess everyone's like, oh, so money's holding you back. Why don't you pursue only money? Well, that's not how to save the world. So I'm actually here to defend children, and people get offended by me. So that's why I'm offended by them, because they are false adult. They are wearing diapers. They are retarded. They are polluting the world. They do not understand orientation. They do not see the signs of pollution. They do not hear the crying child. The deadlights rose. They have levels of telepathy from a defunct and alternate intention of the humanity from the 70s, the corruption of the old world versus they're poisoning their own children that are born after the deadlights rose. That's the old people. They do not, they have they respond poorly to the earth's actual self. They springtrap and they poison it. All right. So anyway, Merry Christmas and get along pony. There are magical fairies, but they're being murdered. There are slash were magical generations of children, but they're being culled by censorship from people who stole my money. I wasn't able to, I didn't have any money, so they used that as a weapon to get their revenge. So that was their expression, and it appears that Hatch was like, "I'll get my revenge on you, Trey," but that is insanity. That's really lazy thinking. So I didn't attack Trey Parker. He was chosen by the Wear Map, and all of you knew about it, the silver violin. So you guys are angels in denial of what the children are asking for because you're illiterate and your mind control. Hatch equals money, but no, we not make money because we don't want breather mask XR because we don't need breather masks. Children are dying. We are the adults. We refuse this amount of money from Hatch. That's what you guys have been doing for 3 years. It's disgusting. You're reverse American, reverse Chartardic. We're rebuilding society, buddy. Big money to open up the stage, right? Well, while you strangle and asphyxiate literally the gatekeeper who can liberate the children. Censor the hero of the children. That's what you guys have been doing day by day. We're upholding it. You're really not. That sunlight is ashamed. It's just like you guys are really corporate, and you don't understand someone that would be a hero for children. So your guys are like anti-heroes. It's the corruption of the adult world. All right, so I need to be actually beyond your intelligence, which I am, and I sort of stoop down just to talk with you. So here, this is the news with the Delta virus. So we need this. So I need to open up my company here. Okay, and then we can save lives. And the overhead is the equipment, and it's probably going to be more than 3 million. But I mean, I'm just thinking like it's actually gonna be like a little bit weird to get the house. We're gonna be like, I have to spend a lot of money on it, just get it quick, and then because someone's living there. It's just a lady who does energy work, and I think for her, if we make it like what like a surprise, sort of like, oh, we have some wonderful news for you, like $1 million. She'd be like, yes, finally, like, oh, I can take care of all my kids and stuff. Then boom, and that would be great for her. So, but then I'm hoping like, the equipment to get the house all set up, um, and then I have to make the CGI inside and the characters and then the landscapes and all that stuff. So we're producing all that. And the first thing we're talking about is Breathe Mask XR, and as it gets familiar, like I've got like a circle of fans and stuff, and then or people who know me, and they're my friends. I don't know it's fans, like, but just then I'm like start talking about wanting a female um partners in it, and maybe then just like at that point maybe just like four or five um show up, and because I've fallen in love with a bunch of them. I mean, that would be amazing, right? But it doesn't have to be like it's hard to predict how we have to follow the magic. If magic glow happens and people are and Hatch really makes some genuine friends, that's the only way it's gonna happen. I'm not just like hiring so hey, anyone want money for being like in a motion capture porn? Like that's really not the way to change the world. So I have to do it but that costs millions of dollars, Trey. Trey, it literally cost me millions of dollars to do this the right way. I'm talking about saving the world. And it needs a production value because people have cell phone apps that can make their own little cartoons. So they're just not. And I want to give them the perfect, like a really inspiring and good news, like the sort of curvature. You and I have a bad curvature where we're talking about this apocalypse and why you have to recognize your timing belt and be like, oh, the South Park curse echo, like I have to be responsible for society. Okay, so that means produce Hatch. And Trey's like, I've been working on it. All right, all right. Well, I do appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. And so like, as far like, it, so for example, if Trey says like, I have some friends and I think we could actually help you with a large amount of money. Well, you guys, thank you so much and welcome to Earth. Right? Like this is produce this. You guys are gonna make this back. What I'm saying, if you guys can start to help me on like getting all this land together, that'd be amazing. If that was sort of, well, we'd have to. It's like a whole. It's a project. So um, we could balance it with the studio. Um, of course, it's just really interesting. I think. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Trey Parker. And I'm not at all angry. I'm just sort of a performing linguistics. I'm doing my thing. Thank you guys so much. Really, and I want to work with you on a level where Trey could have some input. Like, oh, I designed some stuff on the breed mask, and I'm like, really, let's do it. Yeah, totally, man. Dude, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose your cooperation, Trey, with that. He's like, well, I had some ideas about it. Okay. Like, as soon as we're working together, we're gonna be like best friends, going like, hey, this and this. Okay, it's not a big deal. We just need to get fucking going. I'm waiting for a worser sign in the news. What the fuck? You produce Hatch. Do it immediately. All right. Thank you guys so much. I, I don't really have a good excuse for myself. All right. I just hope that you guys can be my friend. And we can save the world if you can work with me, Trey. This is curvature here, and it's also like I will have more accelerated meditations when I get to the arena where that's actually happening. Okay, I have to express that I'm asphyxiated so you understand this urgency. Now we'll produce him. I agree. This might be the first time when my presentation made sense. Oh, the Delta virus plus Hatch's first thing. Oh, produce a show about a haunted house. Oh, that's hilarious. First invention it's a show about these boys and they're working on what is the look of their company. Here's my famous PS letter to Trey Parker. That's the perfect thing here. Is this a we're producing a show about these this haunted house. I was telling you guys about the dragon and the old, so it gives a little bit more wisdom and orientation and some magnetism to the actual structure of the factory that I want to build around the halo of the Echo Lake. So here we are in the last day of June 2021. Thank you guys so much. Armor up from within. All right. So you can actually explore the haunted house through the app in virtual reality, and we'll have some interactive things, and we're going to be working on that a lot. It's really the thematic is to begin in this little Springtrap house, and then it becomes bigger and bigger, and then and then you can actually explore around the area and see the rocks because we scanned that the whole territory is scanned in, but it's nicely. It's like foggy, well, no, none of foggy, but just it looks good. It actually looks good. Because the technology was there once we got to it, and so people were able to like walk through the forest, and the trees were like animated, like it's windy, and people are just like, wow, it's so peaceful here. And we have surprise like Easter eggs, like you turn the corner and one of the characters is there meditating. Maybe a real actor is doing that, and they're just like, yeah, like it's like an amusement park, and we have a bunch of people who work in the motion capture CGI there, and it provides like a downtown area for Leverett. Leverett loves it. It's increasing the property value of everyone, and we're just gonna work up to that. There's a mutual level, like yeah, levels of the dimension, yeah. But the house, so you can look at it on the app. This is making me sick. I want to see this shit. Like, why is this all the way up there? All right, guys. Like, let's not get let's have no blind sides, right? All right, guys. Thank you so much. So it's actually so these characters are opening a company, and the Green Wolf is the baker. He's saying like, I want to open a bakery, and the online bakery people can order this. And I think when we feel the energy on that, because I'm also going to be developing new foods and putting them together, and people are like, oh, we saw it get put together. We saw people eating it. They loved it. Oh, we want what they're ordering it up. Okay, we'll be really building in the reflection of how popular that is. But how great is it for the green wolf to be a connoisseur, right? So he's actually the one saying, "Oh, here, try this," But it's just like this huge wolf. Exactly. So good. Um, and that's really wonderful. We're also going to have new beverages lines, drinks, and uh, it's going to be wonderful. Merry Christmas, you guys. That's awesome. So the Wolf's idea is sort of these bakery things, and Hatch is working on the Breathe the Mask XR, and all the boys have a sort of different invention or curl about what they want to invent. So, for example, like the Demon King is sort of like, I have a magical talisman that I'm developing in my laboratory. And we go in and we talk to him about it, and he's like really particular about it because everything is handmade to him, and so it's like he's observing everything. And it's like he's like very sensitive, just because he's using his magic, and everything means something, and so. But like and that's going to be wonderful because like the company opens up and sure enough there it is, this demon talisman. I just that's so cool. So and maybe that's like, whoa, that got really popular, and that's actually how I get whoosh. And then we didn't make porn because people really just were our friend, and it just got like that. I don't know, it's possible. So all from a demon charm, maybe. You guys, but we need to get going, and their brand is like, let's read the room. Well, look at the news, you guys. It's freaking the environment's getting, it's the worst it's ever been. It's historical. Right, we need to produce this champion, produce Hatch, boom, identity solution, change the environment, produce Hatch. Yes, America provided. Shush, the parental will. Eric Cartman,